1. Hello everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. Just making sure that we're live here. Looks like it. We're doing good on a Thursday. How are you guys? What are you guys doing? Is this your first time joining? Let us know, even if you're watching the replay. We're going to talk some updates today. Not just my updates, but we're going to talk about Facebook updates. We're going to talk about Siri updates and like how that all ties into business. So we're going to have some conversations today. If this is your first time joining, welcome. This is a talk show. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience. You just never know what you're going to get. The title of this episode is pretty lame, I know, but you know what? It's what I was working with today. Now I feel like I have something in my eye. So yeah, this is real unprofessional. Welcome guys tuning in. I'm like poking at my eye because I got something in there. But anyway, how are you guys? I am pulling up on my computer because for those who don't know, I actually have, for the most part, I go live via my computer using a third-party program. And you will notice that some of this is different. We'll talk about that. Well, no, I take that back. I know I just teased you guys and I didn't do that on purpose. I forgot that I am going to talk about that at another time. I'm not going to talk about it today. Hey, Paula, welcome. How's your day going? Are we working on math homework today? Hey, Vicky. Vicky is in the UK. For those who are new, we have some UK viewers. I'm just going to pop onto my page here and take a look and make sure. There we go. I'm going to delete that because that is old. Perfect. All right, cool. So today we're going to talk about updates. So have you guys been noticing a lot of updates on Facebook? Have you noticed anything different? And I know that's a loaded question. You know, normally I do random news. Today I'm just jumping into it because I have a training tonight, so we'll probably end early. I know some of you are used to us going for a whole hour. Today might just be a half hour or 40 minutes. We'll see how it goes. But what I wanted to talk about was updates because I feel like there's a lot of updates going on right now. And Paula says, nope, no math. Oh, it's Thursday. Okay, cool. No math homework for Thursday. Got it. I knew it was Thursday, you guys. I'm not that far gone today. Okay. I found out about how to download my videos. Hey, Vicky, nice work. That's huge. That's huge. You guys, even if you're watching the replay, do you know why you want to know how to download your videos? Do you want to know why? Maybe Vicky will tell you in the comments. I'm going to hold back today. I'm going to hold back just a little bit. But that's huge, Vicky. Everything is very slow for me on Facebook the past few days. Yes. How many of you guys, we're going to be talking about updates. I know a bunch of people just came in. How many of you guys can raise your hand and say, yes, Facebook has been very slow lately. It's been glitchy. There's been some things going on. There's been lots of updates. We're going to talk about updates just in general, and we're going to tie it into business and to Siri because it's an important one to note. But I swear, sometimes I feel like it's my eyes. Sometimes, can you relate? Sometimes you're like looking, and I'm talking about Facebook specifically. You're looking and you think, wait, what? Is that different? Is that different? Or is that just me? Oh, maybe it's just me. And then you kind of like keep going and moving, and then you're like, wait, something's different. So we're going to look at that. We're going to talk about that here. Because maybe it is just me. Maybe my eyes are just going a little crazy. But we're going to see. Oh, look who's here on time. Look at who's here on time. Yes, you. I see you, Mickey. Welcome. We had a joke in the comments yesterday, you guys. If you missed it, we were having a joke about Mickey and Erica showing up late and just skidding in right at the wire, but they're here early. Well, at least Mickey is. We'll see about Erica. I just need to work on how to upload them to YouTube next. Nice, Vicky. See, you have a plan. You have a plan. You knew that you wanted to learn how to download your videos, and you figured it out. Now you want to take those videos and upload them to YouTube. That's the next step. That's what we love to hear. That's what we love to see. Perfect. And then when you guys join live, you know, for those who are regulars, but for those who are new, I can actually put your comments on the screen, which is awesome. Yep, Facebook has been slow lately. Can we just all agree that one update we really want in Facebook land, probably the best update we could ever have, ever, would be speed, loading the speed of the page, right? Page speeds. Kind of like messed that one up, but you know what I'm saying, like page speed load time. Can we just forget every other update for 5 seconds and load our pages faster? Load the scrolling a little faster. Like, let's just get it into gear, right? Load all of that and then worry about other updates. That's what I'm saying. I don't know about you guys, but I would like that. And then, let's see, Vicky, yeah, perfect, cool. So, with these updates, now you guys are going to be able to tell me if you're noticing this, whether you do it now or later on, because you're kind of like, well, Ed, you kind of sparked my attention there. Like, I'm kind of curious. So I'm going to show you what I noticed today. And again, maybe this is just, it's been a long day and I'm just like, I don't know. And you're going to be like, Ed, wake up, dude. Like, those have been there for a while. Or maybe your profile. Because remember, before I show you these changes that I'm noticing, you have to remember that while we may be on the same network, meaning Facebook, and while we may have a personal profile and a business page and a group all under Facebook, you have to remember that they update different profiles, different groups, different pages at different times in different countries, right? In different parts of the world, different time zones. So what you may, oh, look who's here. Look who's here. Erica's in. I know, it's okay. You're only 7 minutes late though. So you guys must have felt the vibes that it was like, it might be a short show today. I get it. That's okay. Busted Vicky. So yes, when it comes to Facebook, and you guys crack me up. So when it comes to Facebook, you have to remember, like, it's easy for us to forget, right? Because all we think about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all we think about is Facebook, us, right? Like, if something's not working for us or we don't have XYZ, it's Facebook's fault, right? But what we don't realize is that out of all the millions and millions of people that are using Facebook and the different profiles that are set up underneath this, I mean, it's basically a tree, you guys. Let me see, because I kind of freed up one of the boards, but we're going to use one of these. We're just going to use just a little piece of this paper. So this is what I want you to think about when it comes to Facebook. We haven't had this, I don't know, in a long time. So we're just going to do this. This is super, super, like, basic. We're not even trying to impress anybody because I'm recycling paper that I pulled off of my notepad. So just FYI. So you have Facebook, and I know you can't see this yet. I get it. You can't see it yet. Hold on, okay? Okay? So you have Facebook, you have personal, you have business page. I'm almost done. Hang on. And then you have groups. Okay. So, yeah? Yeah, makes sense? Facebook. Underneath there, you can have a personal profile. You can have a business page. You can have groups. That's the main thing, right? Those are the main things. Of course, there's so many different things underneath these. Well, not so much personal. I mean, not really. When it comes to business pages, there's different types. When it comes to groups, there's different types. So there's different things underneath those. But those are like the primary, like, those are the three main things that you can do on Facebook. You have your personal profile, you have your business page, you have a group. That's the thing, right? Now, you have to remember, though, when Facebook makes an update, they're going to push that update out to certain accounts in certain parts of the world at certain times. They're going to test with those accounts, right? So when we hear updates, and tell me, what does update mean to you? Let me actually, before I even tell you something, let me ask you, what does the word update mean to you? Even if you're watching the replay, there's no right or wrong answer. What does the word update mean to you? Tell me in the comments, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. Is that nice, Vicky? Vicky says she has all three. Awesome. So when it comes to updates, and tell me what you think about them in the comments, but when it comes to updates, you have to realize that an update can be, which typically it is, an improvement for that program. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, okay, Ed, but I hate updates because it changes all the time. It changes the look or it changes the function. I miss the old function. So updates aren't good. Well, that's going to be a user by user, basis, right? Like that's each one of us are going to have different opinions about what that update was and if it really was a good update or not. I mean, we can take a look at Snapchat, which I know, Snapchat's kind of a hit or miss for a lot of us, and I don't use it a whole lot, but with their latest update, because it's been in the news, right, we can tell that there's so many people that don't like that update that it's not considered an improvement from the user perspective, right? It's still considered an improvement from the company standpoint because they're not changing it and they're not going backwards. But from a large group of users, they're like, no, this is not a good update. So, it depends. It depends. But an update typically is going up. Like we're going up. We're getting bug fixes. We're improving the speed of which the page loads. We're improving the design, the user experience. Like that's what typically an update is. Perfect. Mickey says, update is that notice that they fix some bugs and improve some stuff. Yeah, new functions, new buttons. Yes. Okay, cool. So yeah. So it sounds pretty simple, right? I mean, an update, that's what it is. It's just like a status update, right? You're sharing with people. It's a different kind of update because you're not necessarily improving any design. You're not necessarily creating a new function or a button, right? But when you put in your status update, you're updating your network, your community, your family, your friends of what's going on with you. That's still an update. It just doesn't have anything to do with design or a program, right? I mean, it does. You're the program, if we think about it. We are the program in that case. So when it comes to updates, you have to realize that we're not always going to be happy about them. They're not always going to be the best out of the gate because they have to test them. They have to try them out, which is why sometimes you'll see features on my page that I'll show here on the show that maybe you don't have yet. Even though you have a business page, even though you have a group, even though you have your personal profile, it just may not have that update that they sent out to me, which I was in that random selection, right? Because there's no, at least that I know of, there's no magical thing saying like, well, we're only going to give this to Ed and these cool people, but not these cool people. Like they can wait. No, they just go through, I'm sure, a master list, a program goes through, I'm guessing, goes through and randomly picks what's going to happen based off of the location of where they're at. That's probably what happens. But what we have to do as users, right, is we have to keep an eye out on things. We have to see what changes happen. And then as business owners, or soon to be business owners, right, we want to ask ourselves, why? Like, why did that change? Why, what's going on here? Like, you'll be scrolling through, and I'm talking about Facebook, but everything we're talking about here can be pulled over to whatever you're working on or will be working on. Is that you want to ask yourself, why? Like, why is this different? Why is this better? This is totally random, but why would you want a selfie stick? Well, we'll just start with the basics. Well, I'm going to go up from there, but we'll start with the basics. Why would you want just a selfie stick, right? Tell me in the comments, even if you're watching the replay, why would you just want a selfie stick? Just a basic, it just pulls out and there's your phone. It's just a random selfie stick. Why would you want that? Well, chances are because you want to be able to take pictures of yourself and your friends without having to be like this, trying to figure it out and not being able to reach far enough, right? Well, then that's an improvement, right? It's an update. They took the selfie stick, or they took what you're normally doing, which is holding your phone, and gave you a selfie stick. So that helps because then it extends and you can go way out and you'll be like, hey, awesome. Yeah, our friends are having so much fun, right? And then, as some of you know, the one I have is a selfie stick tripod. It's the best ever. And I know some of you guys have it, right? It's the best. If you're Trex, you need a selfie stick. Yeah. So this is like the best ever because of the fact that it's not only a selfie stick, it's a tripod, it has a remote. I mean, these are big updates. Let me tell you, we're going from basic to handhold, from basic, which is hand holding, to the update, which is the selfie stick, to the update, which is the tripod, to the update, which is the all-in-one, which has a remote. It has a mirror so you can see yourself when you're on the other side. Like, hey, it has this to make it rotate for you. It's compact. It's durable. Like, you guys, I wasn't really even planning on sharing this one, but this is what happens. Like, this is legit, right? And it all started with the fact that we used to do this all the time, right? This is what we do. We can I get it a little bit closer? Okay, almost. Okay, try it now, right? Like that's what we do, or that's what we did until they came out with the selfie stick. That's what we did until we have a selfie stick tripod, right? Like these are the updates, not necessarily for a program, but for a physical product. So you have to think about that stuff and go with that intent of why, like asking yourself why, like what's the next best thing and why is that update there? So you guys, this is what we're working with, right? Like I love being able to just like bounce things and I love being able to like have products to show you, like actual products, because that also takes it back to the real world, right? Like it doesn't just keep us in the digital world, it takes us back to the real world. So now I'm going to switch over to my screen here as we talk about Facebook updates. Now, we're not going to go through a whole bunch of Facebook updates. Like, no, there's just too many, and I don't want to go through all of those. But I do want to point out what I noticed today. And again, this could be a many different reasons, and maybe, to be honest, it could just be me not realizing that I've seen this happen before, and that I just think it's new today. Like, you know, how many of you guys have those days where you're like, that looks new? Oh, wait, I forgot I already knew that. Like, right? You know what I'm talking about. I know you do. So let me go over to my screen here. So I have my friend Joanna here. This is a post of hers that I noticed today. And what was interesting, and you guys can tell me, but what's interesting is that this is for friends, right? We know that because it says right there. But what do you notice about this post? And again, tell me if I'm missing something. Shout outs to Joanna right here. Boom. Over at Tony Robinson. So what are you noticing here that might stand out? And again, maybe you've already noticed it and you're like, dude, Ed, this is something that's already been out. Like, where you been? But let me bring it up a little bit more. Sorry. I don't even know what that news is. Go away. So this is what we're looking at here. Anybody tell a difference? Let me draw your attention here. What's missing? It's the share button. Now then you might say, well, Ed, she's only sharing it with her friends, so there's not going to be a share button. Well, if we look at my post from yesterday, excuse me, I'm sharing it with my friends, and look what I have. So who knows, right? Like, who knows what's going on here? Again, maybe it's based off of Joanna had told me that she had shared it from Instagram, so maybe that's something there. I don't know. I just noticed this right before going on the show, so I didn't have enough time to really research it. But whether or not it's been there or not, this is what I want you to pay attention to, is just when things like this happen, where you're like, wait a minute, there's no share button, but yet I have a share button on my other post or on somebody else's post. It's just being aware and seeing what's going on, right? Like that's the point of this episode, and that's the point of updates, is to understand that things are constantly changing, and it's not like you have to stay on top of every single detail, but when you start seeing things there, you notice that there's a difference, right? Yeah, Vicky, exactly. Share is gone from that spot. Then you have to think about, and again, I'm planting the seed here because this is just the news that I hear that goes on with Facebook. Then you have to think about, okay, well, if they, and I'm totally speculating here, totally just taking it to the next level, right, guys? Like, this is just how my brain works. So if we took away the share button on post, and we'll just say for this instance, we'll just say certain posts, okay? And again, I'm just speculating. I have no insider info. Don't freak out yet. This is all just me having a brainstorm session with you on why I think they might be removing the share button from certain things. They're not going to remove the share button from everything. I mean, if they did, that would be way too crazy. But I could see why, in some cases, they would remove the share button for, say, a photo post, right? Maybe they don't want people sharing photos in that sense. Maybe they want the original creator to share that post individually with people versus me just being able to go to your profile and say, oh, that's a cool photo, and hit share, right? Like, those are the types of things that hopefully people at corporate are strategizing, but that's how you'll want to strategize with you, and if you have a team, of course, your team. When it comes to simple things with your products, with your services, with your offerings, you want to make sure that you think about what are your users, your customers, your clients doing now? What's their problem that you're solving, right? What's your why? And what are the updates that you're able to make? What can get them to the next level? What can improve? Because, I mean, ideally, you want to make sure that your updates are supposed to improve the user experience, right? That part of taking them to the next level. That's what the updates are for. So you want to make sure that you do that. But you also want to try, when it comes to design and programs that people are using, you want to try to make those updates as less intrusive as possible. That makes sense, right? You want to go little by little, like step by step, right? Not the show, step by step from back in the day for those who were in the 80s. No, I'm talking about like just step 2, step 3. That's why if you have like an iPhone, Android, I'm sorry, I don't have Android, so I don't know what your systems are called, like Android 2.0 or what, but for iPhone, it's iOS 11, iOS 10, iOS 4, like, you know, those are the updates for the system for the phone, right, or the iPad. So you have to think about, like, that's how they increase, and sometimes it will be 4.2 or 4.2.1, right? Like, sometimes we see those. See, Erica knows what I'm talking about. I don't even know what that show, I can't even remember what that show was about, but I just remember the name Step by Step. Obviously good marketing, right? Especially for kids, because that's something I remembered. Side note, I know this is totally random, and we didn't do random news today, but side note, Did you guys hear the sad, sad news about Toys R Us? Yeah, I know. It's really sad. We might have to talk about that tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to make a note. Because that probably deserves its own episode. So I'll just leave you with that. We'll talk about that tomorrow, I think. And what you can learn from that. So anyway, so there's the design thing that we're talking about, right? Now, what I also want to bring up, and I'm just going to check my notifications first, so that way I can bring them up. It actually, now it looks a little bit better. But earlier today, family-friendly TV shows from the TGI line. Yeah! How many of you guys... Okay. It's Erica's fault for distracting us. But how many of you guys used to be the TGIF Friday lineup kid? Like, TGI Friday, like, those were the shows. Like, it didn't matter what you were doing. I don't even remember what the shows were. But, like, I remember that Friday nights were the thing, right? Because, I mean, we couldn't go to the club. We couldn't go hang out with our entrepreneur friends, right? Because we didn't have our businesses yet. Although I did, back in the day, sell sodas to the kids in the neighborhood. 25 cents a pop. And I will take your cans so that way I can recycle them and make some money back. Boom. It's a thing. Now, kids probably don't even think about that. They're like all up on their phones and leaving that money on the ground, literally. I'm like, you guys get a bag, pick up those cans, and take them to a good recycle place. You'd be amazed at how much money you'd be making. And then you can use that money to go buy more junk food, right? Because we know that they're all buying junk food. Paula, you probably know with the kids, and everyone else, I know you guys got kids, you guys know. And if not, they might be hiding it from you. I'm just saying. Family Matters, yes, was the one with Urkel. Urkel! You guys, I can't even put that on the screen. I was so excited. Do you remember Urkel? Come on now. I don't even have my glasses with me right now. Urkel was hilarious. Like, hilarious. That we're taking it back now. Yeah, Paula, right? 30,000 jobs. It's like, jeez. That's we're talking about the Toys R Us for a second there. See, you guys gotta keep up. So when it comes to the other updates, I wanted to switch back over to my profile for a second so you guys can see updates. Okay, so you can see some updates here. You can't really tell, but earlier today, I swear to you that this blue here was so light that it almost looked like this side over here. So that the notifications almost matched this area here. Whoops, I gotta click off there. So it was really weird for that. What was the other? I feel like there's other updates. This, I think, is constantly changing. This looks a little different to me. And then I think this area, I noticed on comments in a group, it looked a little different to me. It looked a little more round. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like this is a little bit more rounded. And maybe smaller profile pictures here. I'm totally like guessing on that right now, but that's what I'm thinking. Ed is like, when Urkel turned into Stefan. Oh, that is hilarious. I think I'll accept that compliment. Thank you so much, Mickey. That is hilarious. I don't even know. My screen just went away. There we go. Man, we are rocking and rolling. And it's not even Friday, you guys. And we are having this much fun. Like, this is good. This is good. Just wait till tomorrow. Erica's dying. See? Hilarious. Paula says, I'm telling you. All right. So when it comes to the updates, that's kind of like what I'm thinking of on Facebook. Now, when it comes to Siri, because we're going to tie in Siri here, has anybody? Before I even talk about the details about Siri, have you? I got to make sure she's not listening. Well, she's always listening, but I don't want her coming on again. Like, did you guys see that brief post that I showed you last night? If you're on my personal profile, you saw. Like, literally, I didn't mean to say the magic words for her to pop on, but she popped on and she caught me talking about her, Alexa, Google. Is there another one? I think there's one more. I forget. And then I was like, oh, shh. And she picked that up too. And then she told me, you guys, she told me, watch your language. Really, Siri? Yeah, how are you going to come up into my house and tell me how I'm supposed to be talking? Like, you're going to come up into my house and be on my phone and tell me to watch my language? Please. You are so lucky you are one button away. I'm going to click you off. There you go. Erica says, yes, she's had that happen so much. Hilarious when that happens. It was. I was dying, you guys. I was dying. Ed busted playing around on Siri with a Oh, man, Nikki, you are good. Can you guys imagine if we were all hanging out in real life? I mean, we are, but can you imagine if we were all in person? Boy, that place, wherever they let us in, they will not keep us for long, I'll tell you that. If they do, then they know what's good for them. I was live once and Siri thought I was asking how to go to Chili's. Erica, did she ask what app you wanted to use, whether it was Yelp or Facebook? We're still going to have that, by the way, for those who are keeping up. We're still going to have Erica on to talk about that when she's ready. Hint, hint. I was like, Siri, I don't even like Chili's. And then Siri probably said, too bad, you're going to Chili's. All right. Kick her out, Vicky says. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay. You guys, you're distracting me. This is good because we're having fun. And that's what it's supposed to be about. We're supposed to have fun. Yes. So Siri, who's not on right now, which is good. She was developed, actually. Do you guys know when she was developed? Well, that sounds really weird. Okay. When Siri was created, gosh, she was created back in 2011 and was the digital assistant for the iPhone 4S, which is crazy. She was probably actually created before 2011. This article doesn't say exactly. Oh yeah. Okay, so let me just start with the article here. So this was interesting to note because this again this ties into updates. And when I mean updates, it's like you have to constantly be moving forward in your business, right? We've seen this happen before many times. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but we've seen this happen many times with businesses like Blockbuster who don't keep up, right? They don't keep up with the times. They don't keep thinking ahead. They don't keep wanting to improve. They don't keep wanting to ask themselves why, or what I like to always ask myself is, how can I make it better? Even if I have no intention of working on that project. Like, you guys, it could be, I don't even know. Like, I don't even have something. Well, I'll just use my pen. It could be this pen, right? I could be looking at this pen and randomly be like, how can I make this better? Well, I might put a keychain hook on here so then I can just hang it from my finger, or I can put it on my keys so it's always with me. I make it smaller. I'd make the felt tip there last longer because I'm tired of it always running out. Like, whoops, I just threw the pen. But it's that kind of stuff that happens. Hey, Whitney, you've missed some good comedy here, man. We're tearing it up on a Thursday. We are Samsung users, so we say, oh yeah. So Tammy, so that's what I had said last night, and Siri picked that up. So I think she got a little jealous because I was talking about her and the other ones out there. I love it when my phone ignores me, but my husband's phone responds. That's hilarious. That's funny. Or when you're talking to your phone and your friends respond and they're like, what'd you say? Oh, no, I'm just talking to my phone. Don't worry about it. We're good. I'm just talking to my phone. I didn't need you. You're good. We'll talk later. I'll have my phone call your phone, and we'll talk later. So Siri came out. This was an interesting fact because I don't think I actually knew this, because if I did, I don't remember it. But according to reports, Siri, the original Siri app, was acquired in 2010 for $200 million by Apple. It's crazy. I didn't know. I don't recall knowing that Siri was an app before Apple. Like, I just don't remember that because it's been so long that I just feel like Siri is Apple. It's just weird. So that also meant that it became the digital assistant for the iPhone 4S back in 2011, right? So think about it, you guys, because hey Google, Alexa, I feel like there's something else. Maybe it was just the Google one that they called before, because I feel like there's another name that I'm missing. But excuse me. Anyway, what's interesting is that Siri kind of like was the baseline, right? And then you have all these other digital assistants coming out, and a lot of people will ask themselves, like, well, why is Siri kind of like, chilling down here and the rest of them are kind of up here? I mean, yeah, they're newer, but shouldn't Siri like kind of go up, right? Especially with all her updates and it being 2018, and she was created back in 2010. Like, come on, like, what's happening? Well, I mean, for me personally, I haven't really noticed a whole lot because I don't really use a whole lot besides having someone called or having Siri call someone. I don't really use Siri a whole lot. Like, I manually add things to my calendar. I don't know. Are you guys the same way? I know I'm talking a lot today, but are you guys the same way? Do you guys use your digital assistant? If so, what are you using them for? And I say digital assistant because that could be Siri if you have an iPhone, that could be Google or whatever other ones are out there. So just tell me, are you using a digital assistant? And if so, what are you mostly asking them? And it could be up to your top 3. I'm just curious. Because I'm so basic. I'm sure I could have her do a whole lot more, but I'm super, super basic. I don't use it much, just for quick weather check. Oh yeah, weather. I think I ask every once in a while about the weather, but I've been in the habit of manually doing it. It's weird, right? Especially for a tech guy, you'd think I'd be all over that. For traveling for maps, yeah. Oh yeah, so I do, Tammy, that's a good one. I do use it for maps, although when I'm at home, I don't really need it. But when I've been traveling, yeah, for sure. It's just quick and easy. Let's see. Rarely, yeah, see, this is good to know, you guys. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So this is interesting. This is going to be interesting for what I'm going to share with you guys. I'll talk to her. She doesn't listen. When I'm not talking to her, she's all up in your business. I know. Right? All up in our business. All the time. So, especially about wind chill. Especially when it's super foggy. Oh, interesting. Okay. Restaurants or phone number lookups. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. Is that when it comes to Siri, she started at the bottom, now she's here, right? Hey, so you guys just never know what you're going to get. So she started there, and even after Apple opened up Siri with SiriKit in 2016, so SiriKit is basically like, I don't really know, but basically it's kind of like opening it up to developers to kind of tie in and help be integrated into other apps, basically. Yeah, Erica, I will agree. I feel like it wastes time because I have to ask it again and again. Yeah, oh, so part of that's a great comment, because part of that is the same thing I do. So I have Beats One, right? Which actually I don't even really know why I'm paying for Apple Music, because I do like Beats One every so often. It's a nice switch up, but is it really worth $10 a month? I don't know. But then I have all my I was going to say photos and then phone. I have all my songs and playlists in the cloud with that tied to it, and I just don't want to deal with it, so I'm like, whatever. But if you pay it for the year in advance, you get a discount. So FYI, if you guys didn't know that, that was a new update not too long ago. It's probably been a while now, but it will still be new to you if you didn't know that. So anyway, when I ask it to play Beats 1, I cannot tell you how many times, especially lately, she will put on some random music that has absolutely nothing to do with Beats 1. So when I have to ask it, I have to always say, play Beats 1 in order for it to pick it up. Because otherwise I'll just get some random music and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I have to stop what I'm doing and try to figure out how to get it to play the Beats 1, right? So it's just weird. It's just weird. So anyway, it does waste time, which is probably why I don't use it for most of what I do on my phone, because it just, I can just do it myself. I'm good. So 2010, it was bought. 2011, it came out on the 4S. 2016 is when it got open to the rest of the world to help tie in. But what's interesting is it's still not as intelligent as Google Assistant or Alexa. So people were asking, like, this article is talking about, like, what the heck? Like, why? Like, it's Apple, it's Siri. Why isn't that a thing? And it comes down to she's not in charge of anything important. Yeah, exactly, Tammy. How many of us are always like just there, like, what is wrong with you? Like, just trying to tell your phone to do something. You're like, I'm just going to do it myself. Like, we look like crazy people because we're talking to our phones, not doing it live, but we're talking to our phones, trying to get it to do something that we could have just done in 2 seconds. So again, this article is tying into the digital assistants and talking about how Siri's kind of, back here in the dust and the rest of them are up here. And it is talking about how the person at the time had thought, and again, this is like going back and forth, and I can share the article if you guys are really interested in it. But it's talking about how a digital assistant should be treated. Oh, let me go back. Oh, so the person in charge at the time, former iOS chief, and I won't say their name, that's fine, reported that he only wanted to update the assistant annually to coincide with the iOS updates. Meaning, Siri was only getting updated, or reportedly updated, basically once a year when there's that big update, right? When you go from a 4 to a 5 or 6 or 7, or now we're on, 11 now. So Siri at the time was being reported that she was only being updated basically once a year. Well, if you think about it, as a digital assistant, as any assistant, I mean, let's just say any assistant. Let's bring it to real life, you guys. If you were an assistant for somebody and you only got updated once a year on the processes, the systems that are in place, how far behind are you going to be? How backed up is your job going to be if you got updates once a year, right? Like, you wouldn't be up to date. You wouldn't have, all the work that you did for the whole year would be outdated by the time you got those updates. And then you'd have to go back through and try to fix them all, right? Does that make sense? Siri is a union now. I know, right? I'm just looking at your guys' comments. Yes, I'll take longer to do it. Insisting on technology. Yeah. So think about that, right? Like, we're talking about Siri being this digital assistant, but let's bring it to real life and talk about us being an assistant, or us having an assistant, and updating them on what's new in our business once a year. Can you imagine? Like, let's say you wanted me to post something. Let's say I was your social media assistant, right? I'm your social media guru, where you send me posts and I post them. And we've been doing just a title and a photo. No hashtags, no links, no nothing. We've been doing this for a year, right? And then it comes time for the update and you're like, so now we're going to include a link. Now we're going to add hashtags. Well, it's a year later. Hashtags are outdated. Links are outdated. People are doing live video. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where if you don't stay up with the times, now more than ever, then you're going to be left behind. And it's going to be twice as hard to work to get caught up, right? And so that's what this article basically is talking about, with Siri being so far behind and not being as smart as these other assistants. Paula says, and just think if you're not updating your phone every year. Yes. Let's talk about that in a second, Paula. That's a good comment. That is a good comment. So when it comes to having a program like this, a digital assistant, it's important to stay up to date, right? And that's what this article is talking about, is that, Siri has a lot of catch up to do. And it's kind of like, well, is it going to work or not? Because she's already behind. And she had plenty of time to take the lead, but there wasn't that priority. And it comes again down to not just one person necessarily, but this article is referring to management of that team, right? Because you have, again, your main business. So we talked about it earlier, Facebook. And then you have those branches, personal profile, business profile, group, right? Well, there's going to be the main team, and then there's going to be teams for the branches, and then any other branches down below are going to have teams most likely as well. So there's always going to be like this hierarchy, right? And so you can only do so much at your level, even if let's say we were all the main guy, gal, whatever, for the Siri team, right? And we knew at the time that we wanted to stay up to date, that we wanted to update that thing once a month at least, right? But if management above us was like, nah, we're good. No, that's too many updates. We don't want to do that. We're going to do it once a year, once every 6 months. We're kind of like, ugh. I mean, sure, we can try to find research that supports that if we're diehards, but trying to convince them is going to be very hard. And there might be that like pure no, like we're good, keep things moving elsewhere, right? So you have to work with it, and you have to figure it out. But because you guys are in control of your business for the most part, and if you don't have a business, you're going to start one, that this applies. You have to think that way. You have to branch out. Do a simple map like this. I know it's hard there. Do a simple map like this. Think about your team, right? Again, that may not be anybody else besides you. But there are people around you. You may not be paying them. They may not be consistently there for your business tasks, but there are people around you, that's your team, that will help you. So keep that in mind too. But have those branches there. And now Paula talks about, because we're talking about updates, that's just the topic today. When it comes to your phone, this is a good one. So how many of you, even watching the replay, let me know, how many of you update your phone? Well, let me rephrase the question. How often do you update your phone? And when I say update, I don't mean the program update. I mean the actual phone. Like, I'm going from a 4S to a 5, or I'm going from a 3G, I'm talking iPhone, I know. If I'm going from a 3G to a 10, right? Like, how often are you updating your phone? Because that's another big question. Now, why would I ask that? Why do you care? Why you're happy with your phone? Why would you want to update? It's a great question. And it always comes back to, and this is when I worked in retail too, it's the same thing. If it's working for you, cool. Like, no worries. Keep your phone and run with it. But if it's not performing at its best, then you at least need to have it checked. And what I mean by that is, like, take it in to get it serviced, right? Like if you have an iPhone, you're going to go to the Apple store to have them take a look at it, run tests, see what's going on there. Erica says probably 2 years upgrade, when 3 last time around. Yep. Okay, cool. Up to my phone when it breaks beyond repair, Mickey says. Okay, cool. So those, and that's another thing, right? Like it depends on when the phone actually breaks. Like sometimes we drop it, sometimes it's in the water and it was fried, like whatever the case may be, right? Vicky says 2 years. Real quick, before probably, well, I've been out for 3, so probably the last 4+ years ago is when most of us, especially here in the US, had 2-year contracts, meaning we really technically couldn't upgrade our phones until about the 2-year mark in order to get a good discount on the phone. That whole thing changed. That's a whole other conversation we can talk about later if anybody's interested. But that whole thing changed, and then now it's basically, you just pay full price for your phone, or you can get somewhat of a discount if you do somewhat of, you're not on a contract, but you kind of still are, because if you upgrade beforehand, you're still going to owe money on your phone. You're basically leasing your phone. That's what it comes down to. And so, great response. Only when absolutely necessary. Yeah. So people will always ask me, Ed, when should I update my phone? Like, when should I, and I'll change the word here to upgrade, because since we're talking about phones, that's a better term to use versus update, because update's really about the actual software, the inside. We're going to talk about the actual the actual phone. So I'm going to use the word upgrade. So when should you upgrade? Well, these days, to be honest, for me, this is where my business is. This is my business. This is my camera. This is my video camera. This is everything, right? So I need that to be in shape. Like we're not going to be, eating a ton of desserts over here. We're not going to be getting sloppy over here. We are going to be in the gym all the time, keeping it fit, right? Because this needs to run smoothly so that everything else in my life can. That's my view on my phone. Because I'm not going out and buying a fancy big old camera. I mean, I have one, but I don't use it a whole lot. I'm not buying any more a point and shoot camera. I'm not buying any more a video camera. I'm not buying what else? Whatever else. Like this is it, right? So I'm investing in this. So yes, it may be expensive for one device, but you have to remember what other devices you're cutting out of the picture, right? You're not buying the $200 to $500 to $3,000 camera for taking pictures. You're not buying the $500+ camera to do videos, right? That's it. But it also depends on how you use your phone. You may still only use your phone to call people, to text, and to watch me, right? In that case, I'm going to go with iPhones, having an iPhone 4S or a 5 might work for you. Now, I'm not saying that's the phone you should stick with. Not saying that at all, because chances are it's super slow for you. I'm just saying you have to evaluate, what are you doing? Oh, does this tie into what we've talked about with business this past week, right? Kind of going back to that spreadsheet we talked about in previous episodes. But you have to, does anybody use phones? That's another great question, Tammy. Another great question. I'll see if I can get to that. So you have to think that it's really about, what do you do with your phone? Not what you think you do, but what do you actually do with your phone? How do you actually use it? Chances are you do a lot of the above of what I just covered. You're taking pictures, you're doing video, you're using it for business, and that's like your lifeline. In which case, you have to ask yourself, do you want a lifeline from 4+ years ago? Or do you want a lifeline within the last couple years? Right? I always go for the better camera. I'm still on an iPhone 7 Plus. I didn't get the 8 or the 10 because they're not that much different than what I have. So I'm good with it. It's still a killer phone and it still does its job. Am I going to probably upgrade this year? Depends. Depends on the phone. But that's what I always go for because I know that that is what I want in my phone above anything else. So Tammy, real quick, and then I got to go because I have a training to get to. Does anyone buy used phones? So when, to call people, well, that's so scary, I know. So when, and I say I've got an expensive camera that someone makes phone calls on. Yeah, there you go, Tammy. So does anybody buy used phones? Yes, there's still a market for that. I will say that market probably has gotten a lot smaller over the past couple of years because of the way the contracts breaking has gone into these leasing of the phones. So that market that used to be like a hot market for selling your used phones, you used to get a lot of money for, I feel like has gotten really small. There's still a need for that for sure. Because like if you break your phone and you just don't want to spend a ton of money on buying a brand new one, chances are you're going to look for a used one and you're going to get one that it's a decent price. The problem is, though, is that you don't know where the phone came from. You don't really know kind of like the history, as the water damage, all that stuff. But above all else, that market has really gone down because most people don't own their phones now, therefore they can't sell them. Right? Does that make sense? Because they're leasing it. So that's where that's going. Sometimes makes. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So hopefully that helps. I got to run. Hopefully this was a great live. We covered a lot of ground about updates and everything. But tomorrow, let's plan on talking about Toys R Us, and we'll see what else comes up in tomorrow's broadcast. But we'll plan on that for tomorrow. And then, of course, let me know if you have any feedback on this new slide. I think I put the new slide up. Shout outs to Tammy. Thank you for helping me out here. But let me know any feedback you guys have here, and I will try to pop into the comments later this evening. There is a busy night ahead, so bear with me. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.